both United States senators have expressed to me personally that whatever we need, give them a call, and I happen to have a cell phone number which I am not going to give to anybody, but we can get hold of both our senators, and they're pledging the full support of the federal government for Nueces County.
And you can believe he will not share that phone number. Now, when the judge was asked about potential power outages, he also said that
Portland, we just got a picture into us. If our team could look at it, it is from Anayeli Ruiz. She tweeted something out, Anayeli News, that's her Twitter handle, on Twitter, and some power lines are already down in Portland. Wow. So that's it. So now you know that people there are already losing power. And of course, if you haven't evacuated, we're out of time.
That's right. The city's no longer providing evacuation services for folks who couldn't get out on their own, so that window again is closed.
Look at the bayfront there.
Yeah, that's one of these bands moving through. You can see how the visibility just really drops off as one of these bands of rain starts moving through.
I believe the T head or the L head is in there somewhere, but
well, that's just beyond those trees, but you can't see it because the rain is so thick.
That's right, and that's going to disappear in the storm surge.
And now here is over, I guess, SBID area. So you see on the bayfront, you can't see because of all the rain; it's so thick. But over here on the south side where SBID runs, it's clear right now, just barely sprinkling.
That's true, and that's what we were talking about earlier. If we can go, we've got some new weather information for you that just came in.
And that's the Lexington that you're looking at right now. Obviously, you can't see anything
that should be
there.
the Lexington out there somewhere.
Yeah, but you can't see it.
We talked about the flash flood watch changing to flash flood warning, so we have warnings now, flash flood warnings for the rivers in B County, Refugio County, and Aransas County. These are the rivers, and in Nueces County. So here it comes. This is the beginning. That means those rivers are now in flood. And
I guess we could add Oso Creek to that as well.
Yeah, it's in there, and it's going to get worse. It's going to get a lot worse. All right, let's take a look. We're going to go to the radar here. I want to show you the radar again, but you can get an idea of these bands. Those red lines out in the Gulf there, those are the tornado watches that extend from our northeastern counties all the way up towards Galveston and Houston. Don't see that on the west side of the storm where we are yet, but that may happen. And if we can go ahead and we're going to kind of zoom in on here, and there you can see the horrific rains that are taking place right now. Aransas Pass on up the coast, and then Portland. That's probably what happened with the power there, Stephanie. You see that storm moving through Portland?
Yes.
That's the 245 radar right there, and that extends up to Taft. Well, actually Gregory, I should say, and the trade winds area. Bayside has not been hit hard yet, but it's coming.
Any idea of what the wind speeds we're talking about in those orange areas you see here on this map?
They're probably sustained winds of around 60, 65 miles an hour, and gusts to hurricane force.
All right, so easily enough to push down a power line that was perhaps rotten a little bit or whatever.
Yeah, I'm not surprised at all. And you and Stephanie mentioned it earlier about AEP. I mean, they're ready. They knew this was going to happen, so they were ready to come in and fix it when they're able to do so. Notice the light rains here, the very light rains, Refugio, Woodsboro, Beeville, Skidmore, just gentle light rains there. We go down to the south, you go further south, Mathis, not seeing very much. Sinton.
You can almost see the bands in there with the lighter green and the dark green, those are, and the yellow.
That's exactly what you're seeing.
You're seeing the spacing between these bands of rainfall.
And even though Orange Grove is out to the west, they're getting heavy rain out there now. There's heavy rain approaching Robstown, and to the south, Driscoll and Kingsville seeing heavy rain. But the difference between what you see here and what we've been showing you in the past is that these heavy rains are producing very high winds.
Let's pop up this picture. We were telling about the down power line in Portland just about. There it is.
That's coming to us from our...
It's actually two poles down right there.
That's coming to us from our reporter, Anayeli Ruiz, who's there live
That's
in
on
Portland.
Wildcat Drive right there.
Yeah,
so would that be a microburst of wind or bad poles or what?
It could be a number of things. It could also be one of those mini tornadoes that we've been talking about. It could have come through.
There's another one.
But they've got a problem right
That
there.
looks like if I'm not mistaken, that sort of looks like Everhart Road.
That is Everhart. It's a few blocks away from SPID.
You can see the flag in the upper right corner there, the Texas flag. It's actually broken loose at the bottom there. That's an indication of the strength of these wind gusts that we're starting to see now.
Well, and people at home watching, you make sure that you're ready for the power to go out. Make sure you've got your flashlights nearby. Candles are not a good idea at this point. You don't want to be using candles. You want to be using flashlights.
Don't want to fire.
And if you haven't got the new batteries put into those flashlights, do it now before the power goes out. And it's going to happen. And it's very, very unfortunate.
Interesting story about that. My wife was looking for D-sized batteries yesterday, and of course the grocery stores were empty, the drugstores were empty, and she had this great idea. She went over to Toys R Us. No one was in there, and they had plenty of batteries.
Ah, there you go.
I like the way she
thinks. A good place to be, yeah. Yeah, no one thinks of that.
The shots of HEB. I was at an HEB last night over on Saratoga after I got off work. I guess it was around 12:30 last night, 1 o'clock. Nothing on the shelves. They were busy restocking stuff, but man, it looked like a plague of locusts had been through there.
And we do have something to say about HEB. I mean, obviously, most of those stores have already shut down, but we have some information on our website. You know, the HEBs in Beeville and Cuero are going to close in about 5 minutes, but the stores in Yoakum and Kennedy, those are going to close at 7 p.m. tonight.
Okay, so there's a little opportunity, a window of
There is a
opportunity
little
there.
window of opportunity to get there and to get your basic essentials.
But here in
hopefully they
town,
have
forget
some.
about it.
No.
Well, and
live picture again of the Bayfront, Dale.
I was asked by Jesse Berry, one of the managers of HEB, when the tropical storm force winds are going to hit. And I told him that it was going to be this morning a couple days ago, and they were planning, and they shut down. I asked him why he wanted to know, and he said because that's when we shut down.
Right.
And so they're not going to open back up till those tropical storm force winds go away, and they can get the manpower in there. The tropical storm force winds are not going to go away until Sunday, but I don't know if they'll have anybody that can go in and open those stores up.
Plus, you got to worry too about they'll be trucking a lot of stuff down from San Antonio, and you know those great big, huge tractor trailers have a lot of windage, so you don't want those things on the highway traveling at highway speeds with 50, 60 mile an hour winds blowing, and that blow it right over on its side, which is not going to do anything.
That's right. They're prepared, and I'm sure they'll get the stores open.
They're great about that.
Yeah,
they've been
they
through
are.
this like we have, and
They're ready.
They know
they're
the
just
drill.
gonna it's just so weather dependent.
again, some people who were in the hospital who were critically injured, or injured, I want to say critically ill.
Well, they were patients. Yeah, they were
patients,
critical patients.
in bad shape, were transported out this morning. They had these big vehicles here. That's actually, it looks like a bus, but it's actually like an ambulance where they can take critical care patients and make sure that they've got what they need to transport them to another safer location. Hospital spokesman says those patients are going to inland hospitals owned by the nonprofit. As a reminder, Christus Spahn Memorial Hospital and its emergency department are closed at this point. Spahn South and Spahn Shoreline hospitals will remain open for emergency care. Now, the following Christus healthcare clinics are also closed, with plans to reopen 8 a.m. Monday, weather permitting. That's Robstown, North Side, West Side, Padre Island, Freer, Beeville, the Dr. Hector P. Garcia Memorial Quick Care, Christus Physician Group Practices, 8 a.m. Monday. So, you know, if you're going to need some emergency medical care, there's not going to be a lot of sources where that's going to be available for the duration of this.
You know, and I want to go back to evacuations for just a moment, because I just checked up on Twitter, and that's what we're doing. We're trying to get you information in real time. And TxDOT in San Antonio is saying that the evacuation traffic on I-37 is flowing well. The reason I'm bringing that up is because if you had family members who left a few hours ago, just know that I mean, it looks okay. I mean, speeds, they're saying, have been maintained around 60 miles an hour all day. And I'm looking at some video there from the TxDOT San Antonio feed, and it looks like traffic is flowing well. It's steady. No accidents there.
And that's good to hear, because a few years back, a lot of people who evacuated in advance of the storm got stuck in some really miserable traffic jams. Up there, they were on up inland, and in hot weather, dry weather, and running out of gas and all this stuff. So they were actually in a lot of ways worse off than they were if they had stayed here. But that's good to hear now that this is flowing, so that's great.
Yeah.
Again, some live pictures here. That's another shot of the bayfront. We can see a little more now. You're looking out towards the breakwater on the outside of the marina. We couldn't see that a few minutes ago. We couldn't see the marina. All we could see were those palm trees on the medians there on Shoreline Boulevard. So that rain band earlier is starting to pass through. It's going to be headed towards central and south side areas in just a few minutes.
And this stuff is fascinating. These pictures, one moment and the visibility is down, and then you go back a few minutes after that and you could see a little something. This is just a constantly changing thing, obviously, and here to tell us more about that is our Chief Meteorologist, Del Nelson, who's live at the Weather Center.
Yes, and it's the wind that's starting to pick up. You're asking about this. These are sustained winds of 49 miles an hour, Port Aransas, 48 to Naval Air Station. They continue to increase here, and they're from the north, and actually north-northwest. And I wanted to point this out because this being north-northwest is an indication that the storm is definitely going to go north of us. It's going to be over here in this position, and it's starting to bring the winds back around a little bit, as opposed to north-northeast or northeast. This is telling right here at 51 miles an hour at the Naval Air Station. These are the gusts right now, and we're seeing gusts that are approaching hurricane force. 66 at the Naval Air Station, 63 at Port Aransas, 58 in Rockport. So these are the gusts in the area. Not much at all, not bad in George West. Alice about 35. Take a look at the future tracker on the winds, and they're up over 100 miles an hour on the gust at 7 o'clock tonight, with the storm inland somewhere up in this area here. And that gives us these strong northerly winds that start to veer around to the northwest at midnight. And then they pick up again as the storm moves inland and everything reverts back from the south and southwest, 87 mile an hour gusts. This is just awful to see this with all the ground is going to be saturated, so trees are going to come down because of this feature right here. Still 50 mile an hour wind gusts at 6 o'clock tomorrow night. So the winds are going to be horrific here overnight. I'm talking about mainly near the coast. And then on Saturday, the winds are going to pick up inland and northwest. George West is going to see some pretty strong winds tomorrow evening, and it'll still have gusts in the 30s, and it gradually comes down here by Monday. So that's a message from the Weather Center. In a little bit, we'll get back to traffic. We want to use our traffic thing. We want to do that in a couple minutes. So Stephanie and Lee, what do you have right now?
Well, first, we're trying to get people who are home, to send us your pictures. We obviously don't want anybody to put themselves in harm's way in order to help us out. But, we're all sharing information here. We want to see what you're up to now to pass the time during Hurricane Harvey. So if you could send us your pictures, KRIS 6 News on Twitter or on Facebook, we would love it. And also to our viewers who are also just tuning in, we are now offering closed captioning, something that we didn't have before, but that's changing so that we could service more people in our area.
That bayfront picture is just astounding.
Really shows you the structure of these storms.
It does,
Look at that,
and the fact that that we're into the point now where it starts to get bad, and you think it can't get any worse, and it will. And this is why this was my worst fear when I had people that, on Facebook and so forth that would say things like, it's not going to happen.
Oh, well, it will happen.
It will happen eventually.
It is happening.
And it's happening now.
Well, the reason they said that is because they hadn't really experienced it before. There have been close calls wherever you go. I mean, this is just like a normal thing, but now this is the real deal. This is what you had been warning us about.
You have to,
and because, I'm sorry.
No, I was just to say, like you were saying, you have to have a healthy respect for these storms. Yeah, we've gone for a long, long time with a lot of near misses and nothing really happened, but
that's not this time.
I talked to a lot of people about hurricane preparedness.
The one you have to worry about is the one that hits.
Right, and the people that say it's not going to happen are usually the ones that aren't prepared. And I hope that they can all make it through this because we're seeing some pretty bad conditions outside right now.
And let's, speaking of those conditions, our Juan Acuna, our meteorologist Juan Acuna, is here to tell us more about the traffic conditions right now. If we can go to him.
Yeah, that's right. We're keeping an eye on 6 traffic here, and the good thing is that most of the lanes obviously are flowing smoothly at this point because there's not that much traffic out there to begin with right now. We are seeing some of these red cones over the area. I just looked on the TxDOT website, and they're basically stating that at this point they may be closing some roads, or they might have some barriers close by. So don't think that the red triangles that you see there on your screen is because the road is closed. Right now, I'd imagine so that TxDOT just has crews on standby, and there may be some barriers at that point. But this is 37. This is coming out of the Corpus Christi area downtown, and then you're looking at Highway 44, where the Corpus Christi International Airport is, out to Robstown. And it's all green. Everything is fast and going smoothly at this point, and that's certainly some good news because there's not much traffic out there. And then going up to 37, this is headed up to Odom and Edroy, and eventually on up into the Mathis area. Things are still flowing smoothly there. A little bit north of Mathis, as you can see, I'm going to zoom in at this point. I'm looking at this data right along with you here, and it looks like there's a bit of some slow and go traffic just outside of Mathis. This is on 37 South coming into Mathis and eventually back into Corpus Christi. So we are seeing a little bit of some traffic there according to our 6 traffic system at this point. But going a little bit farther to the north of us, 37 looks like it's still flowing pretty smoothly. This is past 59 and going up to George West, and eventually up around 3 Rivers, where it meets up with 281, and past this going on up to Campbellton and eventually out near the San Antonio region. Things are flowing smoothly, so that's good. That's what we certainly want to see as well. 281 traffic. This is eventually, I should say, central Live Oak County, coming out of 3 Rivers and George West as well. This is just to the west of Orange Grove, Alfred, and moving on the outskirts of Alice. Traffic is flowing smoothly at this point, all the way down to 281 into Fremont. Kingsville, again, you have that red triangle in place. It looks like there's going to be a little bit of traffic that's going along. Let me zoom a little bit closer, see what road we're looking at. 141, this is showing some slow traffic in that general vicinity, so use caution there. Again, now's the time to be indoors, folks, as the system begins to make its way closer to the coastline at this point. 77 moving north back into the Bishop area and eventually up into Driscoll and into Calallen. Things look pretty good. Got a little slowdown occurring between Driscoll and in Robstown there, but nothing too bad as far as what we can see here. And going a little bit out to the island, this is past the Rodfield area. This is on SPID 358, in other words. Again, these traffic, I'm not seeing any closed streets at this point. So again, this may just be some barriers where TxDOT has its barriers located just in case they do need to close some traffic. But this is showing a bit of a slowdown. This is on SPID headed back towards the city at this point. So we could see some slow traffic there. And other than that, out to Flower Bluff and out to the island, things are flowing smoothly at this point. And let me zoom a little bit. This is going over the Harbor Bridge, and this is coming off of the Harbor Bridge, where we are seeing some slow and go traffic as well. And things from the Portland area all the way out to Gregory, Portland, things are looking good. Out to Ingleside, Aransas Pass, Port Aransas, we're seeing nothing but green lights here. And that's some great news for us, because we could be, this is obviously no traffic at this point. Most of the traffic is off the roadways at this time, and that's why we have nothing but green all over the map here as far as this is concerned. So again, 37 is looking good, 44 looking good as well. I'm pretty sure we'll start to see some of these go red, or maybe even purple, I should say, for road close in the event that TxDOT does decide to close some traffic, or some roads, I should say, and these will eventually begin to update. And but at this point, we're still not seeing anything at this point. And we're seeing, this is our Mike Salazar live. He's just out looking at the roadways right now. And if you look at the trees, everything is flowing pretty. This is out in Staples, and the trees are really bouncing back and forth. There's a lot of wind out there, but no traffic. That's great. This is actually great news, and it just shows that Corpus Christi is responding as they should. Everyone's keeping indoors, everyone's staying safe at this point, and the rainfall is certainly coming down. The wind is pretty strong. You see just a few cars there at the traffic light, but not bad. At this point, every traffic area is flowing smoothly. We have no major accidents in the roadways at this time, at least none from TxDOT, as we can see. I'm monitoring TxDOT here, making sure if we have any type of accident on the roadways that I can check that on their TxDOT website. And you can visit texdot.com as well. And just in case you plan on traveling, you probably shouldn't. We've been mentioning this several times. If you plan on hunkering down, stay with your plans and don't change them at this point. But other than that, everything is, the conditions outdoors weather-wise will continue to deteriorate rapidly as Harvey gets closer to the coastline as a Category 3 storm. But as far as the traffic is concerned right now, Lee, Stephanie, and Dale, everything is looking good right now.
And this is one of those times when everything sort of has like it's like in synergy, you know, when you have power outages, sometimes you have down power lines, then you have accidents, or there's sort of a domino effect that you see around town. We don't want that to happen, but we are already seeing some power outages around the city. If we can get to those pictures.
That's Everhart Road there.
That's right. You see a down power line. That's just a few blocks away from SPID. We got video of that earlier. You see that already. That's because of the wind. And if we can also show some of the situation in Portland. Yeah, that's a picture to us from Anayeli Ruiz. You said that was on Wildcat Drive?
That's on Wildcat Drive right there. And what's going to happen, Juan touched on this, that you have the trees bending back and forth in the wind. If we can come back to the set, the trees are bending back and forth like this. And the rain comes, it softens up the ground, especially the live oak trees, not the palm trees as much, but the live oak trees and the mesquite trees, softens up the ground and it sends them over. And if there's power lines near those trees, they're going down with them. And that's what you're seeing right there. And although there's no tree associated with that, that's just the ground getting softened up by the heavy rain. So this is going to be something that we're going to remember for a long time. And I think there's going to be a lot more power going out as we go through the evening hours.
Well, I think this is just the beginning.
Yes.
That's the problem.
Yeah, that's right.
There's another live picture, I believe, from Everhart looking towards SPID. They've got power right there. You can see the traffic lights, so that's good.
Okay. Yeah,
Or
yeah,
is that
he's on Staples.
Yeah, that's a block. That's a block over, or one major thoroughfare over from Everhart.
And
that's
the
South Staples.
flooding is not an issue right now there.
No, but we haven't seen